Our next case is one of those crimes that's as frightening as an Alfred Hitchcock film. The murder of a young woman in the dark just a few yards from her home. The depiction of this sort of crime in fiction gives the impression it's quite common and makes many women scared. In fact, this sort of offence is rare, but tends to make big headlines. You won't find our reconstruction frightening, only rather sad. But maybe it will induce people to call us with information. Geraldine Palk lived with her mum and dad in Cardiff. A few days before Christmas, approaching her own doorstep, she was stabbed repeatedly, raped and dumped in a nearby stream. Her family and friends, together with several witnesses, have taken part in this reconstruction of the last hours of her life. It's the night of Friday, the 21st of December, the Friday before Christmas, and Cardiff city centre was crowded with partygoers. Like so many others that night, Geraldine was on an office outing with some colleagues from Celtic Shipping, where she'd worked for the past 2 years. They arrived at the Bank Wine Bar at about 10 to 6.
Yeah, I killed your Christmas bonus. Make the most of it.
What are you going to wear to the party tomorrow night? You're going to wear that black dress, you know, the black velvet one. What are you going to wear? I don't know, I think I might wear that black coat neck velvet one I've got. Oh, yes, I know. You've got to be careful when you dance, you don't fall out of that one. Oh, for these!
She didn't have any enemies. She'd, as I say, speak to anyone. She lived life. She lived it to the fullest. Very, very outgoing. And that was Geraldine, a very loving girl towards her family. Her niece and nephew, you know, mum and dad and myself, very, very close. She was a bridesmaid in her favourite colour, which was what I wanted, because it suited her red. I mean, that was her favourite colour. And that's why I chose those colours for my wedding. She would have lived to have got married. Yeah. She would have made a good mother.
At about 11:40, Geraldine and a couple of her friends arrived at Jackson's nightclub in Westgate Street.
I'm just going to the toilet, don't move from here.
Geraldine never returned. But then, at about 20 past midnight, she joined a taxi queue just across the street from Jackson's nightclub, outside Castle Cabs.
Hiya, Jack.
Oh, hiya.
Where have you been?
Oh, the bank, wine press, and then Jackson's.
Who have you been with?
Oh, some of my mates from work.
You on your own?
Yeah, I'm knackered. I've been out all day. I'm going home.
Yeah, me too. Here's my taxi. See you then.
Yeah, bye then. Have a nice Christmas. Yeah, you.
By 12:45, Geraldine had got a cab herself and was sharing it towards Fairwater. She asked to be dropped off about 250 yards from her house, perhaps to save the taxi having to turn round in the estate.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas then.
Either she walked along Waterhall Road or took a shortcut across school playing fields. But just 20 yards from her door...
Stop!
I was driving down Waterhall Road at about 1:10 in the morning, and I was taking my babysitter home. As I approached Bracken Place, I thought what was a lover's tiff. He just had his hands on her shoulders and was shaking her, and as I carried on down Waterhall Road, there was a girl and two boys walking down past the school. They were only 20 or 30 yards away from the argument when I saw them. The three people must have walked past the couple that were arguing just seconds before I drove past them.
A few minutes later, screams were heard by people in nearby houses. And about half an hour later, in the same area, a couple saw a man running from the direction of the school playing fields, where Geraldine's body was found next day. The man flagged down a taxi, which turned round a little further on in Bracken Place and came back to pick him up. They drove off towards Cardiff city centre.
I had a feeling then there was something wrong because Geraldine hadn't come home from the night before, and it wasn't like her not to telephone or whatever to tell us. And then I had to go down to Cardiff Royal Infirmary to actually identify her. My parents just can't speak to anyone. They're absolutely devastated. They just can't believe that something has happened like this to Geraldine. And we're convinced that there's someone out there, somewhere, knows something about this. And if they're keeping it to themselves, well, that'll be on their conscience for as long as they live. But that's all they need to do is pick the phone up, phone me or the police. It's only the information we're after. We're not after their names or addresses. Just help us to catch this person.
Just a note of detail, there was snow there, as you saw. It was snowing during our reconstruction. It was not snowing on the Friday night before Christmas. Phil Jones, this attack was one of enormous ferocity.
Yes, it was. It was a brutal and sustained attack on a decent young woman who had got within yards of her home before being bundled into the middle of a playing fields opposite her home, raped, repeatedly beat about the head, and stabbed on over 80 occasions before being dragged about 130 yards to a brook near the Fairwater Leisure Centre.
What it means is that whoever did it would have been absolutely covered in blood.
Yes, he would have been. Very substantially blood-stained, and muck about his clothing and his footwear.
So someone went home early in the morning of that Saturday before Christmas with a lot of blood and muck on them?
Yes, he did.
3 witnesses we saw in Waterhall Road. Obviously, you want those to come forward. That was late that Friday night, early this Saturday morning, who were walking past the arguing couple. Anyone else you want to find?
Yes, we've already spoken to a lot of people in that area at that time, but we're appealing for anyone else who was out in that area after 12:30 to come forward.
Anyone else you want to find?
Yes, we do. I am firmly of the opinion that Geraldine had formed an association with a man during the 10 days or had an association with a man during the 10 days leading up to her death. She didn't confide in anyone about it. I've already appealed for that man to come forward, to date without success. I'll appeal again, and I'll ask anyone who may have any idea about his identity to come and speak to us.
Now, that friend, or indeed other men you're appealing, or other witnesses you're appealing for who were leaving the area late that night, might have legitimate reasons for not wanting to come forward, at least non-criminal ones. They might have been with someone they shouldn't have been with. Are you going to reveal anything about their private life to the public?
What I'd say is this: I'm in the business of trying to detect a murder, nothing else.
So if they come, you'll treat any information they give you with absolute discretion?
Yes.
You found a key. It might not have been Geraldine's, but it might have been. Describe the key to us, can you?
Well, it wasn't Geraldine's. The key was found about 20 yards from the site of an attack upon her. It's a duplicate key cut from a blank with the word Ilko embossed on it. It's come from a lock which has been fitted to a double-glazed aluminium door, probably fitted to a shop or commercial premises, or even to a house. It could have been on a bottom, or fitted to a bottom rail, a lock on a shutter door, or even a padlock.
OK, well, if you know who lost that key, or indeed if you lost it, or think you did, please call us. Here's the number if you can help in any way: 081 811 8181, or you can call the CID in Cardiff. They're on 0222 398 381. That's 0222, the code for Cardiff, 398 381.